I want you to really understand this. You starting to unravel. It just happens to wear beautifully blended makeup. Don't you think it's time you finally live your life? Those feelings don't disappear, do they? What you really need is not your identity. Hello. Welcome back to Self About Bells, a podcast for the woman who dares to grow. I'm Zahra, your host, and this is where we get real about personal growth, self acceptance, and navigating life's chaos. Over here, there's no filtering, no sugarcoating, no pretending, just real, honest conversations that help you finally put yourself first. So, remember the last time somebody asked you, "How are you?" And you just smiled as usual, and you replied with, "I'm fine, how about you?" But then it wasn't until days later, or maybe even weeks later, where you realized you are absolutely not fine. You are the complete opposite of fine. Last episode, last video, we talked about being a strong woman and the cost of being a victim to the strong woman stereotype. But what happens when you've held it together for so long that you don't even know what you're feeling anymore? And so today we're unpacking why you hide your feelings, even from yourself, what emotional suppression has done to you so far, and lastly, how to reconnect with your emotions when you're not used to feeling your feelings. Most high functioning women don't suppress their emotions dramatically. They do it quietly, with a smile on their face, a to do list, a killer outfit, and a perfectly logical explanation for why they're totally fine. I bet that's you, right? And the thing is, you emotionally suppress without even realizing it because it doesn't look like you're hiding your feelings. It's not dramatic, right? You're not curled up on the floor crying. You're in meetings, you're checking in on your friends, you're replying with, "I'm good, I'm great, I'm fine," while your body is on flight, fight, or freeze mode, and you're on your fourth straight night of inadequate sleep. That's emotional suppression. It just happens to wear beautifully blended makeup and replies to emails within 20 minutes. And to go a little further, emotional suppression and hiding your feelings, it also looks like brushing things off with a joke, brushing off your feelings with a joke, telling yourself, "You know what, other people have it harder," or staying super busy so you don't have to feel anything, explaining your feelings, your emotions, your pain like a TED talk instead of actually feeling it, or crying when you're overstimulated, but not when you actually feel something. Better yet, listing what happened, but somehow you can't name how you feel about what happened, or how you feel about it. You learned all of this without realizing it. If we were to zoom out, right, all of this started early from the environments you were raised in. They taught you that suppression meant self protection. So, whether it was growing up in a home where feelings weren't allowed or they were inconvenient, or learning that showing emotions, especially negative emotions, made people uncomfortable, you adapted. You learned to adapt. Somewhere along the way, your system, your internal compass learned, if I just stay calm, if I just keep quiet, if I just try to keep the peace, I'll be okay. You get really good at pushing things down and you learned to hold it all in because you didn't have a safe space to let it out. And now you've become so good at it that it's automatic for you. And I just want to say, you don't struggle with your emotions because there's something wrong with you. You struggle because nobody ever showed you how to be with them, how to sit with them, how to feel them, how to safely process and express them. You've adapted, you've survived, but survival isn't the same as being connected. It's not the same as being present. It's not the same as living. And don't you think it's time you finally live your life? And here's the thing about constantly suppressing your emotions and constantly hiding your feelings and holding it all in. It creates this push and pull cycle of chaos where you feel off, but you can't explain it. You snap over little things and then you withdraw. You start to feel resentful. You start to feel anxious, heavy, but you can't explain it. and you can't explain why. There's no obvious reason why. And then on top of that, you might start gaslighting yourself, where you say things along the lines of, I should be grateful. I shouldn't be feeling like this. Other people have it harder. I'm being ridiculous. What I'm feeling isn't valid. I'm being too emotional. I'm being too dramatic. In the long run, you stop trusting your own feelings. You stop knowing what's actually true for you. And then you disconnect from your inner world because to go there is just, it's too painful. It's too much. It's overwhelming. And it's just easier and safer for you to hold it in, to bottle it in, to pretend it doesn't exist. But those feelings don't disappear, do they? Instead, they just stay there. They just stay bottled in. And then they show up later on at the most crucial points in your life, in your relationships, as anxiety, as overthinking, as being cold, you know, as stress, as burnout, as tension in your body, as identity confusion. I want you to really understand this. Suppression is not your personality. It is not your identity. It is not who you are. It's just a skill that you picked up in order to survive. Whether that meant staying out of conflict, or keeping the peace, or preventing embarrassment, or being the dependable one, it served its purpose. But if you don't unlearn suppression, if you don't unlearn how to stop hiding your feelings, it will become self abandonment if it's not already. You'll become someone who lives in their head but is cut off from their own life. Someone who's emotionally intelligent but emotionally disconnected. Someone who has no problem taking care of everyone else but can't even see when they need to be taken care of. And no, the goal is not to become this hyper emotional, oversharing version of yourself. The goal here, what we're talking about here, is emotional congruence, where what you're feeling and what you're saying and what you're doing is the same. It's aligned, where you don't have to pretend that nothing's wrong because you're afraid of what might happen if you finally admit the truth. Okay, so now I want to get into the how of all of this. How do you start feeling your emotions again? How do you start feeling your feelings again without losing yourself? And how do you do so in a safe way? Number one, interrupting the survival autopilot that you've been on. So that would be something along the lines of catch yourself whenever you say, I'm fine, pause, and ask yourself, am I really fine? Or is there something else that I'm hiding underneath this? Is there some emotion that I'm hiding under the gist of I'm fine? And you don't have to have this perfect answer or always know what you're feeling necessarily. It's more so being honest with yourself, right? Even saying something along the lines of something feels off, or I'm feeling a little off right now. I'm feeling a little shut down right now. I'm not completely sure. I think I'm okay. I'm not completely sure how I feel, but I know I'm not completely fine. Or if you really are fine, good. Say I'm fine, right? And that's the opposite of emotional suppression. And it's a big deal because you're not trying to fix it. You're not going from 0 to 100. You're just trying to acknowledge it. You're just trying to be aware of it. And that's such an important start. Number two is to practice your feelings in low stakes moments. So start sharing little truths with people that you trust or even with yourself. When someone asks you how you are, instead of just your typical autopilot, I'm fine, you can try, something along the lines of, I've been in my head lately. It's been a weird week. I'm not sure how I feel, but something is not completely okay, or I'm not completely okay. Again, try these with people you trust and even with yourself first, of course. And by the way, this isn't emotionally dumping your baggage or your feelings onto other people. This is just you starting to express those feelings. This is just you starting to unravel what you've been storing and what you've been bottling in for so long. They're just small emotional check ins, and they help build safety for your internal system, right? For your emotional system. And they help to rewire what safety actually looks like for your emotional system. You know, with all of this, I want you to know and remember that this isn't an overnight fix. This isn't something that you try once and then magically you go from never showing emotions to all of a sudden being hyper emotional. That's not what this is. It takes time. I want to close off this episode with just listen. I know it's easier to hide your feelings. I know it feels safer to just hold it in sometimes, most times. It's easier to pretend that you don't feel anything. It's easier to pretend that something didn't hurt you. But the longer you hide it, the longer you suppress those emotions, the longer you hold it in, the worse it gets, the heavier it becomes. And you're not here to be emotionless. You're not a robot. Okay? The truth is, pretending that you're okay time and time again when you're not is not strength. It does not make you stronger. All it does is just make you lonelier. That's all it does. And it's going to build anxiety and resentment and confusion about who you really are. You've been holding it in for long enough. What you really need is to feel. And that's it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in, but more importantly, thank you for existing. Let me know your thoughts and experiences on this episode's topic, as well as your personal growth progress. I read all of your comments and reply to as many as I can, so don't be shy. If you're enjoying this topic, be sure to join me over on our exclusive email newsletter, The Say Lounge. It's where I share members only perspectives, stories, and goodies you won't get anywhere else. And the best part, it's completely free, and I never bombard your inbox with those annoying, spammy, salesy stuff. It's just you, me, and our community of women daring to grow. Click the link in the description box below to enter the Say Lounge and sit at our table. As always, thank you for existing. Until next time, self above else.